It's different, the filter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I can give you a poly. Different flavor,
Yep.
October. And now what we can do is, now we have a pitch shifter here.
Hey everyone, this is Jake from AMS, and I'm hanging out here with Marcos from Darkglass. Thanks for being with you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So I'm very excited about this awesome new product you have straight out of Finland. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we brought you something that has been on the making for almost a year. We've been really relentlessly working on this platform. It's Anagram, our take on multi-effects. I like to feel and think that Darkglass has been a company who's been pushing boundaries and technology and innovation. And
Absolutely, they have.
Yeah. And so, we knew that this was a crowded segment, and if we were going to be here, we had to bring something special to the table. So this is it. So we can just like dive deep into and what have we done here. But
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, it's a platform, and more specifically, one that's bass focused, built from the ground up for bass players to integrate into any kind of setup.
Exactly. We have the proposition here is like a gapless collection of blocks that serve the bass player. So it's a bass-centric multi-effect. Because one of the things that we feel is that, you know, this new era of multi-effects and modelers and stuff, they're great. They're pushing boundaries of technology, and they're absolutely amazing what they're capable of doing. But for bass players, there was just a tiny collection.
Right.
And you would have to spend a lot of dollars to get almost a fraction of that library. So it was about time that a company...
You know, even when you did, it wasn't necessarily, you know, those effects were made for bass players. Sometimes they would like, you know, take out some of the low end, and
Right.
it's, you know, you needed to like mix it in with an effects loop or something, you know, not with this.
No,
Never.
no. And that was the initial thing that we thought is like, how do we make something that attracts us, because we are bass players. So it was it's a bass-centric multi-effect, but made by bass players for bass players. So it's pretty much that's the take. But we added a bunch more things because, again, this technology, this new era, digital era, it's really inviting to new ways of engaging with this thing. So we thought that we would wanted to take our own take, and not only to compete. I mean, it's definitely a multi-effect. Anagram doesn't fall short on any flagship capability.
Right.
That was another thing. It's just like, do we fall short? I mean, if we had to list what of the others do, our take was like, we have to do everything but more.
Check all the boxes three times.
We had to check all the boxes. So, but then there's a mission behind this. It's a platform. The mission is for Anagram to be a host of external content.
Right.
And that is something that we took it very seriously as, you know, one of the things that we were behind is how do we make a multi-effect that not only we propose the content, but we invite the music industry, we create those bridges so that the music industry can collaborate and put their own content.
Exactly.
here.
Collaborative. That's
Right.
that's the key word there. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it accepts IRs from our collection, from users' collections. It's also NAM compatible, NAMP, Neural Amp Modeler compatible, and we can touch base on that because that's super exciting. It's also plugin compatible, and I want to be careful what I say here, but what it means is that if we have the correct partnership with a plugin developer, we can very fast implement plugins to work here. But
that's an interesting prospect. Wow.
Yeah, that's something that we took it seriously. Because what's running behind the hood here is a Linux operating system. So pretty much what we have on many other platforms, and we can compile plugins from plugin developers in a matter of hours and make them work seamlessly. So that's why we are also after collaborating with a lot of developers that they're making such a great content, but they're only constrained to the ecosystem of DAW, of computers.
Right.
So I like to think that this is the first device that is plugin compatible, and those companies and people that have been producing with plugins and they wish they had a pedal where those plugins could run, this does it.
There you go.
Yeah,
Open source. I mean,
yeah,
it's probably what a lot of, plugin developers and bass players have been hoping for,
Yeah.
people that don't want to be constrained to, oh, it needs to be in the DAW. Oh, I want to have my laptop on here,
Right.
so I could play through it live. Like it's all there.
So again, as I said, I want to be careful. We have to partner with these developers, and that's the idea. That the idea is that stage one, we propose a very gapless and robust collection for bass players. But stage two is we start doing those collaborations so that we bring more content. But it won't depend on us. It would depend on us.
The potential is there, though.
Yeah, the potential.
Like, infinite possibilities, really.
And I think that there's no device that's been thought from the ground up to do these bridges, these connections to the music industry, which has so great developers.
Right.
But so far, we're just like, I'm constrained to DAW, I'm constrained to my ecosystem. So let's create a device that a real host that bridges to the rest of the industry. So
that's an incredible concept. So tell me a little bit more about blocks. So when you say blocks, how many can I put on one preset, and what do they consist of? What categories are we looking at?
And for that, I'll start saying that another thing that worries me and many of the people of our team is that digital technology has been something that not everybody was ready to adopt, and not everybody is still ready to adopt because you get lost. I mean, if you're used to knobbing and just very straightforward proposition, the digital technology could be a little bit overwhelming.
It needs to be intuitive.
It needed to be intuitive. And we kind of set a war against menus. So if you want to add a block, I don't want you to start, browsing on a menu under name after name.
Right.
So we just needed to make it simple, intuitive, gesture-wise, and this is what we did with our proposition here. So I'm just going to start with a empty preset here, right?
Perfect.
So what we have here is basically just nothing, a black canvas, and you just have these plus buttons, and what you'll do is just browse different categories in MIDI, where you have amps, we have distortions, filters of any kind, modulation, delays, and some other utilities. But again, let's say that we need an amp, but we can do an SVT, for example. And now we have that on a single position. And then again, we have 6 knobs on top of this, meaning that each one of the blocks is going to be tied. Each one of the blocks is going to be tied to the upper knob.
Right, to the knob of it. I see.
In very many ways. So now we have this that if I touch this, I will be adjusting the level of that block specifically. But if I click on it, I will have all the controls inside the block tied again to each one of the levels, right? So I just wanted it to be very simple to operate. I just tap once, and if I want to bypass it, I just can touch this or double tap. But we took this borrowed from the programmable line, the Infinity, the Alpha Omega Photon.
Of course, I have an AO Photon, and I love it very much.
And you see that pedal has the 6-band EQ there, like it's taking a massive amount of real estate.
Right, that's true.
And we took that 6-band EQ as the ordering factor. So we took 6 bands, 6 blocks, and here we have just an array of 6 blocks that is always present. And if you're going to swipe, you're also going to go to the next 6 ones, so you have 12. And if you're going to split, you will have another row behind that is also 6 by 6. But it's always
24 total.
24 total you can run at the same time.
That's
a limiting factor that we put there because it could run more.
That's incredible. I don't know anyone who would need that many except for Doug Wimbish, I think.
Well, yeah, definitely we'll find a few, but it's there, it's capable, and also it handles presets, also in a very intuitive way, because if I touch this name, I'll have my presets organized by banks, and I can share my presets on the cloud with a community. I can download my presets. I can download people's public presets, and so that's again the aim of collaborating, the aim of creating, being the external content, but it's making the Anagram a powerful platform.
I feel like it's going to be a hit because that, there are a lot of, like you said, ecosystems with that ability to share, but they're very closed.
Yeah.
And I can't even think of any off the top of my head that really cater to bass. I mean, maybe there's a couple bass presets hiding in there, but this is,
that's the idea. Let's create a platform that people can share their stuff. They can upload others people's stuff, and they can play with. And so then we have what we covered slightly, which is NAM. And NAM is because many times I get this question that is, does it capture?
Right.
So what I can tell you, right, is that this device has been, the whole analogical and the electrical part is being designed so that it is capable of capturing.
Okay.
Because we know that these days, capturing is a thing.
Right.
Everybody speaks about capturing, but we also were very much aware that growing in a closed ecosystem
Right.
of capturing, it was going to take us time. So we thought that we'd rather plug in into an existing vibrant ecosystem, which is called NAM. And NAM is an open source platform.
Neural amp modeler. Yes.
Yeah. And it has the most accurate mathematical scores in terms of accuracy. So it's really accurate. But the problem with NAM is that it's been designed to run in computers,
Right.
in desktop applications, because of the processing power that it requires. It's very heavy. It's very expensive in terms of computing power. So with Anagram, we took that mission and says, like, let's make it powerful enough so that it can run NAM. And it can run NAM and many other blocks at the same time with a very low latency.
Right.
And because
it's so important.
It's so important, right? And now we measured that it ranges between 1.1 and 1.3 milliseconds. And that's the maximum latency you will have, even with NAM blocks, because we made it super powerful.
Wow.
And on top of that, I like to say that when we were designing this, it's just not only because of the thing that we're proposing as the start, but we want to think that whatever comes in 2 to 3, 4 years, this can run it. So that's why we made a very powerful,
ever growing, ever evolving, and future proof.
Future proof. That's exactly
Yes.
how I like to put it. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. I'm so excited to dig in and hear some more sounds.
Yeah. So, and also you get a tuner, you get a looper. The looper can loop up to 10 minutes because it has a bunch of memory, and you can have up to 100 slots. And
yeah, so before, I mean, it looks incredible. It also records the waveform on the screen as you're going.
Yeah, we
awesome.
can try that if you want, and we can
Sure,
start.
I don't know if I'm any good at it.
And you can loop on top of that. Well, it has the capability. We haven't rehearsed for this, but it's working. I'm going to stop it now. But yeah, it's a very strong looper. Utility-wise, then when you hold on this knob, you'll get a mixer for every individual output. So you control the volume.
Headphones, every output in one screen.
Is here, yeah. So you again, everything array in 6. But then if you want to go to the global EQ, you just do a swipe, and then you're just basically adjusting your global EQ depending on the venue you are or how you want this to sound. So
awesome.
We can go back to start a new preset.
Well, you want to build one from scratch? That'd be great.
we can build a. So what do you want? What's a typical signal chain of yourself?
We heard the SVT.
Yeah.
I think I might have seen an orange amp in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd love to hear one of those.
So an SVT plus,
or just an orange amp. Even
it does a cab simulation.
Oh, it's
so
the cab.
We could add. We could add cab simulation. And here, what we'll do is you want to do an orange cab, so we're gonna move it until we get a 4x10, for example, and then we can select the microphone. Again, everything very intuitive. It has to be. Not everybody knows what's the difference between a dynamic or a condenser, so we just put the graphics.
I mean, and if even people who have never seen it before, like that looks like a kick drum mic. That
exactly.
Like,
I'm gonna put it just because I think I've seen that mic before or around. So, and now what we have is an amp and a cab, which we can move those blocks somewhere because we know that before
we want to put some drive in front of it.
Pedals,
that's why.
Exactly. So. And then you can change your cabs very smoothly.
Right on the fly. You get the
because
thumbnail.
you have these quick knobs. So I can assign in here, for example, what I have tied is the level one. Just in case you don't want to do the operation of getting inside the block and change those parameters, you can assign quick pots.
Yeah.
You know that you will typically adjust the level on an amp, so you just you bind the level to this block.
I see.
But
and by default, the cab is selecting the different
IRs just to try them out.
Wow.
But let's add a distortion if you like. And here with the distortion we added all the Darkglass catalog.
That's important to say. Every single dark flavor of Darkglass is right here.
It's right here. So we have the B3K, we have the vintage microtubes, and we have the Alpha Omega, and we also have the duality, and we have the X line as well. So and then we have another. So we have a NAND block, and then we have a RAD. And this is going to continue increasing. But then again, we have a NAND block, so you can download thousands of already distortions that people have captured.
I have option paralysis already, and I didn't even go through that one. That's incredible.
So let's add, which one you like?
I usually use the Alpha Omega sound. Yeah, we could throw growl and the bite, throw it all in there.
Yeah, okay. Everything out. How do you feel the latency? Do you feel it's organic? And
yeah, it feels like the real thing.
Right.
Feels like, the real deal.
So we got that. And maybe if you get super fussy, what I'll do is add just a noise gate in front, or somewhere in the chain. But I'll do a noise gate because we're gonna get super distorted. So where do I
Utilities
have it?
Maybe?
I think I have it here. Yeah, here we go.
Awesome.
So here we go, a noise gate. That again.
Yeah, we can find out exactly that spot just with one knob.
Exactly. Also with Alpha Omega, now we have the drive here, but say you want to just have changed to the mod, the Alpha or the Omega. So what I'm going to do is just like configure quick pot, and I know that drive is in use, but I'm just going to go and change it to mod.
Boom.
And now what I have now is that this has changed now to mod, right?
That's awesome.
So you can within your preset, you'll have the ability to change the. But also say, because now we're in preset mode, and if I touch these, we haven't saved this preset, so, but if I touch this, I will change my preset, my other presets, and then you can navigate your many banks.
Right.
Because you have a bunch of banks where you will have, each one of those banks will have 3 presets. But say that you want to stomp individual effects, right? You want to go to stomp mode. So I'll hold here, and I am now on stomp mode, where I want to have the ability to bypass the Alpha Omega, for example.
Right, absolutely.
So I'll click here, and I'm gonna say like I got 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely.
Which one is the foot switch I want? Say I want to on the first one. I click here, I select my Alpha Omega, and now I have that bypass ability.
And you could see it clear as day.
I could see it.
Love it.
There you go. So now you're in stomp mode, where you're bypassing individual effects. But say that within this preset, what you want to do is have the ability to change the scene, so affect parameters within the preset.
Bypass states, all of
or change the mode.
Exactly.
So you can do that, and I will hold this again, and I will go now to scene mode. And I am now on scene number 1. But on scene number 2, what I like is to get a bunch more of drive, slightly better mod, and also on the amp, I want more treble because I want it to be bright.
Right.
And
it's kind of like our baseline sound. This is like the boosted sound.
And I want a bit more level. So that's on my scene number 2. And this on scene number 1. And then you could do a third scene where you will change, bypass, I don't know, the cap sim or
put in a delay.
Right, exactly. So you can do a lot of changes on these 3 modes. It's important to have preset mode, scene mode. So depending on the player you'll like to bypass blocks, or you'll change parameters within. So
it's a must-have.
Yeah, it's a must-have, and also it's very difficult to understand scenes. So I hope that we did it simple for people to understand.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's almost like one of those under the hood. You don't need it until you do, and then once you know that it's there and finally get it, it's like a lifesaver.
Very
for a lot
powerful.
Of, gigging musicians.
Yeah. So here we are seeing the chain, but then we go to something that we call binding. This is difficult to understand, but this is very powerful, extremely powerful, because now what I'm going to be, I have now the ability to add parameters of whatever my blocks are, and I have a quick console of that preset.
I see.
So if you want to have those quick pots attached to the block, that's great. That's for the signal view. But on bindings view, maybe I just want to have my controls of the drive and the mod, and then 3 more EQ settings. And so I'll create my console here.
You're basically making, Yeah, you're making a hub of the only things you'd ever want to...
Yeah, exactly. So I'll add my mod here, and here I'll add from the same block, I'll add my byte. But on this one, I want to have the level, the treble, and I don't know, yeah, maybe the level as well. So I basically just now created a console or that I know that is happening only on this preset. It's and it also access macros. So you can do like changes on two knobs at the same time. So it's extremely powerful.
Oh wow, okay. That opens up a whole new avenue then.
And if you just want to read the name, because you're presetting, then you obviously
right. If you have everything dialed in, you just want to know you're on the right preset.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and this is just the basic operation of the anagram. Again, it's growing. We have a bunch of new categories, delays. You can split. So we can start...
Make your own little crossover or something, right?
You can just like split the signal and add more blocks and then merge it again. So if say that you want to saturate one part, but you're low end, you don't want that to be saturated, so you add an octaver, you know, on the bottom line or on the top row, and
only chorus on the top.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
so
could keep going forever.
And then you can just like, also you have the effect loop positioning where you can just do the effects loop itself or the send and return individually. You can select the outputs where you want to send perhaps the cap sim to the front of house, but not to your amp.
I see.
So you can route everything very, very smartly.
You could send, you know, an IR signal to front of house and one with it bypass to your amp, and even a different one to your headphones.
It's absolutely, yeah. That was pretty much that.
That's incredible.
So it has to be very versatile, very flexible, and very powerful, and that's what we think we are trying to...
I think it shows. I mean, everything has been like that. You know, everything is like no lagging or anything. Everything is extremely responsive.
Right. That's the plan. So, yeah.
So as far as the connections, I saw there was a USB-C.
Yes.
Can you power this with...
Yeah, well, yes.
Is it power hungry?
No, I mean, USB-C is powered via USB-C for as long as that USB port is PD compatible, power delivery.
Power delivery.
Yeah, so that powers the anagram. So I have my power bank here, and if we plug it, my power bank is PD compatible. So I've been using the anagram wirelessly because I have a very strong power bank, but it's PD compatible. So if you have a phone charger, but my laptop, which is not a Mac, that power supply works. It is important that it's PD compatible, but absolutely, and it's also MIDI compatible. It's expression pedal compatible if we're routing, but so you have the effect loop here. But if you're not using the effect loop and you want an expression pedal, you just basically connect the expression pedal on the effect loop. Boom, and you change that by the settings.
You have get yourself a wah sound, or
exactly.
Make it a volume pedal if you want.
And you'll tell like, listen, instead of effects loop, this is going to work as an expression pedal, and it works. That. Yeah. It's MIDI compatible, and MIDI is very, very strong because it's not only that it gives you more foot switches in case you're in a stomp mode or more synths, but it also, you can program the MIDI, you know, as a flagship.
And integrate it into any setup.
With your band, or with a song.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
When you go into, you have a tap tempo here, you know.
You could sync that up through MIDI as well.
Absolutely. So it basically... we wanted to check every single box, and whatever we haven't checked, we will definitely implement it, but we need to know what haven't we checked. But ultimately, we understand that this is a very powerful platform, and it has a lot of processing power. It has Bluetooth, it has USB audio. I hope we have done a good job because we put a lot of effort into this.
It certainly shows. Yeah. I'm excited to hear more effects. Let's see some of those other categories. I'm
going to take this split out.
Yeah, we could also maybe mute or bypass the distortion for now.
Okay. I could double tap to do that, or I can just click this.
Perfect.
So, and this is cool because you can, you know, as you play, yeah, let's say that I want to add another distortion by duality, and I have both. And you can just like understand. Is this one the one you like, or the other one? So you can change things really fast. And then
A/B settings and stuff.
I don't like the duality, so I take it out.
I did,
for example.
I did like it.
You do like it.
No, it's okay.
I love it. I
want to hear a lot of the modulation. And,
modulation. Let's go.
And some of the other like pitch effects, maybe.
Of course, we go to modulation, and we have 3 octavers. And one of the things we're very proud of is the tracking on our octave pedals, and because it really tracks fast and very low as well. So
Oops.
Yeah.
There it goes. Yeah, it's
we
there.
can
There's
change.
no...
Yeah, we can change that to the sub lemon, and it's gonna have like a different sort of flavor. But it's another octave that we put there, which is, if you want to try it, it's different. The filter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I can give you a poly. Different flavor.
Yep.
Octave. And now what we can do is, now we have a pitch shifter here.
Oh, and you could kind of go crazy with
Yeah.
that one.
I'm gonna add some dry level. Very fast tracking. I'm gonna bypass it for a while, and we can continue playing with modulation. What else do we have? We have, sorry, not delays and reverse. Let's add modulation, pitch, a bit of chorus.
Awesome. It's almost like Mellotron-like.
It's too much, maybe.
Sounds awesome. Mint chocolate course.
Yes. And then we can do flanger. What if we had a delay? Just gonna put an empty spot here.
Awesome.
Nice play, man.
Thank you, thank you.
What else? Then we can do more filters. We can do,
Yes,
for example,
let's hear
envelope filters.
Yes, exactly.
Compressors. We can do an envelope filter. Yeah. We can change it to another envelope filter.
Oh, I know what that one looks like.
Yeah. See what I did? I just stop on it and then...
And all of these have a default quick pot. So for example, on this one, that's the blend.
Yeah.
For both of those, that is.
But we can change it to feedback.
Now it gets soundscapey.
And it's in the fly, it changes.
That's awesome.
And then this is our preset. We can save it. We can put a name here.
We can call it Jake. We can call it AMS, whatever we want.
AMS. There we go. And now we have a preset. We can add some distortion. Nice. And now
awesome.
We got that preset, and which is here. But say that you're on a venue and you know that that's going to be your first preset. So there's another one that I made for guitar. But say that AMS you want it in the first place.
Just drag and drop.
You just drag and drop, and that's how you will be basically creating your set list.
Right. You don't need to go through any menus or clicking and drag.
Drag and drop, move it. And this is your user presets, and then you can go your factory presets, which is the one that we are adding to the anagram, and these are made by us.
Right.
But here we are with the AMS, and we can try something else. We can try something that has been done.
Oh yes,
by a friend.
This one. Got a cool little room trail coming off of it.
I think it's fun to operate as well. So you can spend hours, playing with the sound.
Right. And you could just kind of, boom. Now you have a whole nother
another full row and also
canvas.
A below row, and you can move stuff around easily. Whether you want your octaver before distortion and after, nobody would do that. But anyways, you can do that very quickly. And the typical question is like, where do I put my compressor? At the end or at the beginning? Well, just try it out.
Literally,
yeah,
it's a drag and drop away.
Exactly. That's the point. Let's make it super easy. The wish is that you will unlock a lot of new layers of creativity because we put a very simple UI and it has to be fun to operate and you can do a lot of things
I already feel like I have, and we just barely scratched the surface on, these presets and what they're capable of. It's the amount of, configurability without being overwhelming and just being an inviting, intuitive interface is like a hard balance to achieve, and you guys have certainly done it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, Marcos. This was so much fun. I'm excited to dig even deeper into this because it's like endless. So thanks once again.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And for everything Darkglass, you can find it at americanmusical.com.
Good. That sounds good.